Hello, welcome back. So today I want to do some cuttings around Buddleias. Okay, so this is really simple, just a few steps. So if you follow this, we can't go wrong. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So first job is, I haven't got a Buddleia, okay, but the mother-in-law has. So let's go around and just do a little bit of light pruning. So here is the mother-in-law's Buddleia. So what we're looking for is some old wood, really, so some browner wood, so that's known as a hardwood cutting. They only need to be sort of 8 to 12 inches long. I'm only going to take maybe half a dozen. I'm going to show you what that looks like now. This is probably a better angle because all around the front it's got a lot of new growth. This is a sort of growth that you need. See all this sort of darker stems here, so I'm going to take a stem off anywhere there, just to a leaf node, and I'm going to take it off one main shoot. There we have it. So as you can tell, all this brown stuff is all sort of last year's growth, so that's what we call a hardwood cutting. Okay, so you've got softwood, hardwood. This is a hardwood cutting. So I'm probably going to make that into about 2. Just for purpose of this video, I'm probably not really going to keep it. However, the mother-in-law, father-in-law, they'll love another plant to their collection. So let me show you what we need to do. So this is what I've pruned off. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to take off all these side shoots off the main shoot. Okay, although my secateurs don't look any good, they are. I wipe them down with a food grade hydrogen peroxide, which I'll show you in just a sec. That's just to stop any nasty things sort of starting on your plants. They look really rusty, but I quite like the way they look. As you can see here, we're just taking all this back, take all the big leaves off. Okay, anything what's got a reasonably big leaf. So as you can see there, you've got all the small leaf nodes. So these are where the leaf nodes are, okay, and this is where all the hormone sort of sits in the plant. So this is where you want to make your cuts from. So what I tend to do, cut that off to there, and that's where the new plant will come from. Okay, so like I said before, you need sort of 8 to 10 inches. So I'm probably going to get 2 cuttings out of this. Okay, but I don't really want any more than that. So I've made my cut just there. So this is where the roots will grow out, and I'm going to make my cut there. So you want it at a point. Let's put that at the angle. Oh, just like so. If we can see that. And that's going to be one cutting. Okay, so what I am going to go ahead and do, so you've got these shoots up at the top, that's what we want to concentrate on. So I'm just going to rub these ones off just with my thumb. Okay, rub these ones off. Might leave one on the bottom. Just like so, and then you've got the top growth just there. Okay, so I'll show you the other one. So that way up, that's going to be my top, just there, cut that off, that's going to be my bottom. Okay, so the reason why I'm cutting it off there is all this, it's not going to do anything. Your hormone sits within this node here, all these nodes actually, but this is what's going to push through. Okay, so I'm not going to use hormone rooting powder or anything like that. I do believe with all the cuttings that I take that the plants have enough hormone in them anyway. Not only that, it's like that's not something you've got knocking around. Do you know what I mean? You've not got just hormone rooting powder in your cupboard. Or go and get some of that. But more likely than not, you've got a pair of scissors or a sharp knife, and you've got some soil or some compost. Okay, so that's my 2 cuttings, just like so. I'm going to go ahead and put them in some compost now. So you can use garden soil. Okay, you can use sand, so nothing else but sand for these hardwood cuttings. I use a multi-purpose compost mixed with some sand. The reason why we say sand is because it doesn't hold the water at all, and it's really free draining. So if you give it a load of water, it will just sort of drain through. It won't flood your plant, and it's nice and free draining, so you get the idea. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in a pot, and then they'll go into the conservatory for the winter. So I'll show you what I put mine in, or what you could make if you haven't got that. So I've got my compost mixed with some sand. You don't have to mix the sand like I discussed. So up to you how many cuttings you want to do. I'm just going to do a couple because I think it'd be nice to do that. So what I'll do is I'll put them around the edge of the pot, and that'll just give the cutting some stability. Okay. So a pot that size will easily hold half a dozen or a little bit more. Okay. So I'm going to put mine in the conservatory, and inside the conservatory I have like a small cloche, like I bought from about £10 from like a home bargain stylish store. If you don't have that, that really doesn't matter, because what you can do is you need to create its own environment, so you can make its own mini greenhouse. Okay, so I'm using this as the example. So this would go over the pot. Okay, you could always put some canes in just to support it so it doesn't touch it, and you'll have them sitting over. Let me just sort that out. Something of about like that. Okay, a little bit of airflow through the bottom. You can cable tie it up, but that doesn't matter. So that in there will create its own atmosphere, and you've made your own greenhouse. As long as it's like a clear bag, you can use a plastic bag, but you really want a good light level to get inside there. So any cuttings like this, you can create your own greenhouses just like that. I'm going to show you now what it's actually going to go into throughout the summer. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a really good water, and then transplant it into the conservatory. Transplant, move it into the conservatory. Going to go ahead, give them a really good water. Now, purpose of the video, I'm going to probably get a load of water in the conservatory now. However, what I'd normally do, let them dry out a little bit, okay, so that we're not transplanting the wet stems into there, and we're not dripping water all the way through. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to show you where it's going. This is where they'll sit with my camellia cuttings. As you can see, it's dripping everywhere. Just make sure they don't touch any of the existing cuttings, which they aren't. Okay. And this is where they'll sit all winter, so I'll make sure they don't dry out. Do these down. With all my cuttings, I'll make sure they don't dry out, and then that is literally it. And that is it. So there's nothing fancy. You don't need particularly any fancy tools or anything like that to multiply your plants. You don't even need it to be your own plant in the first place. As long as you've got sort of good relationships with friends or families or neighbours, and they don't mind you taking a cutting and then share the plants back out, then you're on to an absolute winner. I've quite enjoyed this one anyway, as you can probably tell. So without further ado, I'll end the vlog, and until next time, I'll see you in the garden.